Well, g'day everybody. It's Benjamin Morgan, Chief Executive of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association of Australia. And welcome to Saturday. This is not usually a day that I'm going to be doing a live stream on. And truth be known, I was just actually out at the airport working on this little experimental aeroplane that I'm building when I took an email from one of our members. And after sitting down and reading that email and spending a little bit of time understanding the concern that had been raised, I felt what I needed to do was I needed to do a very quick live stream to talk about this email, to read it to you all, and I started to do so and it cut out at the airport. So I've jumped in the car, I've driven all the way back home, I've quickly got changed into my AOPA shirt so that I could have this conversation with you all this afternoon. Now, what this email is really in relation to is it's in relation to the struggle of a flight instructor who's trying to obtain a flight examiner rating and the difficulty that they have been through to such an extent they have now given up and they are exiting. They are walking away in total frustration and I guess disgust at the cost, the waste of time and the expenditure of extreme effort to try and do something that ultimately for our industry is quite an invaluable resource. And more to the point, he is located, and I'm not going to mention his name, and hopefully we're going to try and invite him through to actually have a face-to-face discussion on this issue. But for the purpose of today, I won't be mentioning names, but he's located out in a regional, remote area. This is the kind of guy we need in this general aviation industry with a flight examiner rating. And of course, those of us right across the aviation industry, we know that there's a shortage of flight examiners, and they're critical to the long-term success of general aviation. And so I wanted to take a moment to read his email, but also to highlight that what it does is it echoes, and in many ways it further vindicates much of the discussion that I've had over this last few years, that general aviation is facing decline. People are leaving the industry, and in many cases they're leaving the industry because of the inflexibility and the cost of CASA's regulatory framework. It is having a meaningful and detrimental impact on our aviation industry, and we must continue the fight as an advocacy and as an organisation, not only to break down these barriers, but to try and work towards a more sensible outcome that ultimately will make the industry a lot more sustainable and successful. So the member who's written to us today, I'll say out loud, we've been in contact. I've sought his permission to discuss this particular email, and we'll be working with him this coming week to make certain that this issue gets raised all the way through to the top of CASA, and that a request be put in the system to solve this unnecessary problem. Because this problem actually started when CASA changed its rules, and suddenly work that had been done has to be thrown out. A person has to go back and start again. And that has just created a chain reaction. So I'm going to read his last correspondence through to CASA. I'm not going to mention the CASA's staff member's name, but it starts with the following. I've been trying to get a flight examiner rating for a few years now, but being in a remote regional area, I have not had the opportunity to complete the total number of mentoring flights required. I have nominated 2 mentors in the hope that I could complete them more quickly. However, this is not coming together. It's due to a few factors. One, mentors are a few hours, being 5 hours away from where he is located. So in order to have access to these mentor flights, I have to plan well ahead, and I have to plan for an overnight stay when I go there. The second thing is that tests are booked at short notice. So I can't just take a day off. This guy works. He's like everybody else. He has to pay his rent, pay his bills. Can't just at the drop of a hat disappear to be trying to solve a change in CASA regulation and policy. The third thing is that the mentors are now doing more complex tests. They're now involved in doing things like instructor and IFR examinations instead of just the RPL and the PPL, meaning they are busier, and that is limiting what type of time they have available. And of course, he raises the concern about aircraft availability, something all instructors are going to face. I had spoken to a respected person in the industry, qualified respected person in the industry, about the problem, and sitting down and looking at this from all angles, we simply cannot think of another course to close out the mentoring requirements. I think that the system is difficult. The system is impractical. And given that I've been instructing now for some 14 years, I have over 13,000 hours flown and 10,000 hours specifically as an instructor. I have conducted hundreds of BFRs. I'm qualified in a wide variety of general aviation aircraft, and I have all of the training endorsements, including IFR. He is also an examiner for RAAus. I completed all of the mentoring flights prior to 2016 with extremely highly reputable flight training school at Cowra. G'day, Lynn Gray. I was not going to mention your name, but Lynn, you're doing a great job out there. I had conducted all of the mentoring flights prior to 2016 with Lynn Gray and travelled to Cowra for flight tests when she was doing them regularly. It took many years, but when I had finally finished, CASA had changed the system and all of the flights that I had completed prior were now no longer recognised. I completed the CASA online course. I flew to Brisbane to attend the one-day PDP, which ultimately was a meaningless exercise as the course content simply repeated coursework that I had already completed. The last mentoring flight I did was towards June 2021 out at Cowra. However, when I arrived, the candidate had left due to COVID lockdowns. Luckily, I was able to sit in on a CPL test with an approved person. I've called around various examiners to find out how to complete the mentoring to no success. Due to these difficulties, the months and years that I have now dedicated to this, I've decided to cancel my course and forego the rating. This is unfortunate as there is already a shortage of examiners in the industry, and I think the situation is only going to get worse. This is frustrating, and I've spent many thousands of dollars, but every delay in getting things done means that it has pushed me further and further behind. And of course, with changes in the system that suddenly invalidate not only years of work and thousands of dollars worth of work, I will give up now and I'm focusing my attentions into other industries. What a shame it is that we lose someone of this calibre, and hopefully this person will join us publicly to talk about his experience and to talk about his experiences in dealing with CASA to try and get this situation resolved. When I sit before a Senate hearing or I'm called before the government to give an opinion on the condition and the health of our aviation industry and our general aviation sectors, I hold my hand on my heart and I can say with honesty that this system is broken. We all know it's broken. It's broken from the top and it's broken all the way to the bottom. We have based our regulatory system on a hodgepodge mix match of EASA, FAA, Australian, New Zealand, and God knows who else. They have created a spaghetti work of regulation that the average pilot would not know how to navigate. Flight instructors half the time have no clue as to what has been changed around them, and I am inundated with aviation businesses that are finding it impossible to keep track of the mess that has been created. And I know externally, through my work with Falcon Air and our team there, it is an endless parade of change. And all the while, these changes are having a cost on us, the user. It is costing our aircraft owners, it is costing pilots, it is costing aviation businesses. We are being swamped with this. I was talking to Maddie Johnson, who is the chair of the Flight Training Industry Association down in Melbourne this past week. It's echoed there. She echoes these concerns. Whilst there are areas of Australia's regulations that partially work, we have vast areas that are unworkable for industry. We have been forced into frameworks that have now created an industry of bureaucracy around it. And CASA is responsible. They have delivered this system. They cannot blame us as the industry. They cannot blame instructors for leaving. They cannot blame people for abandoning the pursuit of flight examiner ratings. They can't blame pilots for giving up and walking away because of the excess complexities and bureaucracies and costs that they've imposed on us and the unnecessary testing by AVMED. They cannot blame us for the fact that their regulatory system has led to the largest collapse of general aviation business activity in the history of general aviation in this country. And all the while, these people at CASA sit before our Commonwealth government and they answer questions at hearings and provide the most disingenuous answers. They avoid the truths, they hide the facts, and they deny that they've been responsible for it. And yet the truth is, they are. The truth is, this system is their baby. They own it. It's sad that we're in this situation. I don't take pleasure in spending time on a Saturday to do these live streams to talk about it, but I know that the people at the Department of Infrastructure will review this video, and I know that people at CASA will review this video, and I will be raising this issue with CASA, and I'll be asking a simple question. Why is it that the person who has been communicated to inside of CASA has not elevated this issue to fix it? Why is it that there have been no alternative options provided to try and get this done? CASA, you know we need flight examiners in this industry. You know the desperate shortage we have. Why are you allowing this to happen? Are you asleep at the wheel or are you incompetent? I've said it before. CASA, you have just one thing to do. Do your job. And in this case, the job's not getting done. The system is broken. People are not able to navigate the nonsense you've created for them. So to our member, I thank you for sending this through to us at AOPA. This is why AOPA exists. We will pick this issue up. We will ensure that this issue gets ventilated to the highest levels inside of CASA. We will also ensure that this issue gets ventilated to the Senate Rural Regional Affairs Transport Committee, and we will ensure that this issue goes to the Minister for Transport's office. And what we're doing to our friends in CASA and in infrastructure, we are slowly documenting every single one of these issues, and we are building a library of failure. And sooner or later, there is going to come a time when somebody is going to sit down with this library of failure and they're going to say, this is a national disgrace. And the system at that point will change, and it will change rapidly. So thank you everybody for supporting AOPA. Thank you for sending us these issues. Please, if you are having these kinds of problems, don't leave the industry in disgust. Come and talk to us. Put all the issues on the table. Let us document everything around this. Let at least your example provide a benefit to the industry by seeing to it that we can take that forward and ensure it's not happening to others, even if it's already gone too far. Thank you so much, guys. I say this at the end of every single video. If you really appreciate the work that AOPA does, we're always here, we're always working, we're always on alert. How about you jump online and become a member? www.aopa.com.au/membership. Become a member. It's $159 to pledge your support and to help give us the horsepower we need to keep helping pilots and aircraft owners right across this industry stay involved in aviation so that we can all benefit. So thank you so much, guys, and have a great, safe flying weekend. And with that, I'm going to go back to the airport and do a little bit more on my BD5. So catch you guys.